Hey, I'm Peter Henry, and this is my roommate.
Rich.
And we've been talking about a few different things, and one of the topics that came up today was resistance and the feelings of resistance and what that actually entails. I'm sure everyone experiences this one every day. You know, there's those things that you have to do, those things that you know you should do, yet for some reason you want to do absolutely everything else around it and not actually do it. And there's a very, very good reason for that. Do you have anything to add to that? Do you have any experiences of resistance?
Well, for me, one of my main things I deal with with resistance wise is as a truth seeker. I research a lot of topics, and I'm very concerned about the state of the world on a daily basis. Kind of not by choice. I have to look into these things. I just have a mind that has to do that.
Yeah.
And I meet a lot of resistance from people trying to get these points across because when I deal with topics like Fukushima, for example, flooding our planet with radiation, immediately people activate that cognitive dissonance, and it's so far removed from reality that they don't want to accept it. It's so far removed from a reality that we can think of that we just want to willfully throw it out of our minds and just move on, right?
Right.
And so it's been really troubling for me to deal with that kind of resistance when it comes to this topic because, as far as I'm concerned, if I don't talk to people and get them engaged and stuff about it, right, nothing's going to change. And as far as I'm concerned, before we know it, our ocean will be dead. But I really came to terms with that myself and dealing with that resistance. I just realized that instead of getting angry about it and, getting like trying to hammer on the same door and it's not knocking down, I got to take another door and I got to look at it from a third person perspective. I'd be like, just throw out the truth in little riddles here for
Yeah.
people, and let them engage themselves and, take the path of least resistance. If the easiest way to get this stuff across is to start off by just mentioning one little thing here and then engaging that mind, they're going to look into it on their own and try to find out the same things and maybe go down the same path I have. But the point is that, there's no point in just trying to hammer down that door and break it down and just keep beating the same dead horse because it serves you no purpose, it serves them no purpose, right?
Well, that's exactly it. And the biggest reason why they have that kind of cognitive dissonance and that sort of like resistance to accepting something new information is because our brains aren't designed to accept new information like that so readily, because new information such as the thing that you should be doing that would benefit your life, that new information that you learned about the world is represents to your brain a potential for harm. It could either shatter ideas of everything you think you know, and that could, present a lot of emotional harm. It could really damage your identity, that kind of thing as well too. Same with all the things that you want to do, um, that you're feeling that you need to move towards, but are having a hard time doing. Those represent areas of growth. That if you do accomplish those things, you're going to grow. And when you grow, you risk leaving the person you know as yourself behind and turning into something new. And there's that fear of the unknown. So your brain is kind of meant to keep you away from that unknown. So, yeah.
I suppose that is a scary thought for most people, and we realize at some point that growth and comfort are never hand in hand. So
No,
we got to be uncomfortable to grow in the right direction, right?
that's exactly it. Now, in your experience, what did you find made you more comfortable being uncomfortable? Because I've always said there's no comfort in growth and no growth in comfort. But how is it that you pursue growth sustainably?
Well, I could say half of it has been a lot easier for me coming from a martial arts and a discipline background to actually make the effort to make the changes I have to make, right? But the
Right.
other half is just constant exposure. Like if you really want to go for something in life or you really want to get something across, it doesn't matter what kind of barriers you're met with, you will find a way, and
Yeah.
you will find usually the easiest way because that's the best way to get your point across, right?
Yeah.
And so I find as time goes on, instead of, like I said, instead of trying to hammer down that door, I'll try to find more inventive ways to get at the same thing. But the point is not to get angry about it, not to stress out about it. Just go with the flow and keep a level head and do your best to get it across. But don't get upset if you're met with failure. Just keep trying in different ways, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Keep trying in different ways, and that's just it. So a lot of people feel that like that feeling of resistance is this like feeling that it's going to be very difficult, and that when they're met with struggle, when they're trying to actually accomplish it and get over it, they use the feeling of resistance to kind of like as an excuse to escape away from doing it. So like if they fail once or twice, they're like, well, yeah, obviously it was going to be hard. It just didn't feel like doing it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like the feeling of resistance tells you that you're never going to feel like doing it. You know, like I've been going to the gym for 3.5 years, and I don't think there's been really a day where I've just been like super feeling like actually going to the gym.
Yeah,
Like,
it's time to go pump up. Yeah.
right? I mean, don't get me wrong, I love going to the gym, and there's a reason I've been doing it, but sometimes that those first few steps into the door and stuff, it just kind of sucks. Like I'm not super into it. It's when I finally start actually doing the thing and doing the momentum and going through the sets and stuff like that, that I start getting that pumped up, motivated feeling, and I could, keep going.
Exactly, right? Because once you actually get there and you get the adrenaline going, you're like, wow, I feel fucking good. And so, like, that initial block that you went through originally, it's just all of a sudden it's a thing that is much easier, you know? And the more times we do that, I think we kind of rewire our brain to accepting that resistance is like breathing.
Yeah.
It's part of our life, right? If we want to grow, right? So I think that's the key is just we all like to focus on the reasons not to do anything. I mean, we're humans. We seek pleasure and avoid pain. We're kind of wired to do that.
Yeah.
But the more times we put ourselves in these uncomfortable situations, the easier it gets, and it becomes like anything else in our day: drinking water, breathing, whatever, right? So
And that's just it. And that's definitely a topic for another video. I want to talk about how you can actually train your brain to rewire what it feels pleasure from and what it feels pain from.
oh yeah,
And then once you actually retrain that rewiring, that's how you maintain positive change.
definitely one of the
Yeah.
keys for me has been, instead of focusing on what it is I have to do, 100% focus my attention on the result of what it is I'm doing and why I'm trying to achieve that. Not so much the journey, but the goal. Because once I'm focused on the goal, the journey becomes like a walk in the park, really.
Yeah.
You know, right? So yeah,
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like it's somewhat erroneous thinking when people say, oh, if you set goals, once you achieve the goal, that goalpost moves and then you'll never be satisfied. Well, you know what? That's true. Once you do achieve that goalpost moves, but that's how you get to greater and greater goals. That's how you get down the road.
see, and to
So to
me,
speak.
when people say that, I see that as kind of as fear based because they're afraid of what the result is going to be. Now, if you're going for something, I think the real key is to not have a very serious attachment to the result, but do
Mhm.
everything in your power to achieve that result. So that if you fail, you'll try again in a different way to achieve that result, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's what a lot of people, for example, you know, I'm sure you've had clients that tend to give up after a certain amount of time, right? And it's because
Oh, absolutely.
they didn't achieve that result the first time they tried it, so they just give up. Where they have to realize if that's truly the goal, keep at it, try it a different way, you know, find that way that works for you, and you'll eventually get to what you're going for.
Exactly, and don't be afraid to look inwards and see what you're missing, because you may be thinking that you're getting everything right, but what it actually is like a very small tweak in the wrong direction could completely throw you off.
Yeah.
I've noticed that too in myself. Like sometimes I think I'm doing everything right, but then I think about it a little further. I'm like, you know what? Looking back at my nutrition, like my fat macros have been a little bit high like every day this week. Maybe I really need to peel that back a little bit.
Yeah.
Sure enough, that's actually all I needed to do. I didn't need to do anything drastic like cut calories or go for more runs or anything like that, or just try it harder. No, I just needed to rethink it. So
Well, and one of the
Yeah.
principles I like to apply is like I'm Buddhist myself, and so I've naturally, you know, I've found myself looking up videos and stuff of like Buddhist monks being able to like fucking chop down trees with their bare hands and stuff, right?
yeah,
And the thing to realize is that this does not the seemingly superhuman ability does not come for free. It comes from constant training every single day for like half their lives to get to that point.
absolutely.
And not only for the physical, but you can apply that to our mindset as well. Like if you want something to become true, it's going to be self-fulfilling prophecy in your head if on a daily basis you have that reaffirmation, this is how it is, this is what I'm going to do. If you do that every single day, it will happen.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time. It's going to happen.
That's exactly it, because everything comes down to a habit. And so one great way to get over resistance is to not worry about someone else's middle and your beginning. So what that means is like those Buddhist monks that can, chop down trees with their hands, those guys have been at it for so long, so when you finally see them do that, you might feel inadequate. You might be like, oh, my training like is way behind that. I can't do that. Well, that's because you're just getting started.
Exactly.
You know?
Start out somewhere, right?
Exactly. So don't confuse his middle for your beginning.
Yeah.
Don't compare yourself. And I think
that is a huge nail on the head.
Yeah.
Too many of us, and like society's kind of trained us to do it, but never compare yourself to anybody else, because
Yeah.
we're all at different stages of growth, and like that is so detrimental to your own growth when you're looking at how much more naturally talented someone is at something, for example, right? Like,
Mhm.
you cannot do that. It's such a negative mind space that just like throw it away if you can, because it's so useless on a day-to-day basis, right?
Absolutely. So I think I'm going to wrap this one up. But in conclusion, when it comes to resistance, when it comes to meeting new information, and when it comes to doing new things, you always know you're on the right path when you start feeling that resistance, because how you know you're on the right path is that resistance is a signal to your brain that that's somewhere where you need to grow. And because if you think about all the areas that you meet no resistance in, it's like, I'd rather play video games than study, or go out with my friends, and how quickly you say yes to that and you just go with it. Well, that's probably an area that's well within your defined comfort zone, and it's very, very easy to do that. But areas that require a little bit more steam and gearing up for, those are areas that you should be pursuing.
Well, let's look at the perfect metaphor for that when it comes to cocoons. That being is literally ripped apart and turned into a butterfly.
Yep.
Right? So
Yeah,
that
exactly.
says it all right there.
Exactly. And that cocoon phase is a real tangible thing for a while. You've got to become this caterpillar, this ugly, trying, hard little thing that's just kind of derping it up through life, and then it takes some time to look inwards, to figure out what it wants, and then it melts itself down. So much like your identity, much like the things and ideas that you think you know, you need to be willing to let them go before you can accept new ideas and really emerge as that butterfly.
Absolutely. Be the cocoon.
Be the cocoon, and don't be afraid to be the cocoon for a little while.
Absolutely.
If that means being alone for a bit, that's great. If that means starting new habits and going towards areas that scare you, that's excellent as well too. And if that means, learning information that challenges your current ideas, that's also pretty great too. That's being the cocoon. That's melting down. That's isolating from other people if you have to. That's taking some time to really think that stuff through. And that's a great way to get over resistance, to be able to go inwards.
And eventually you'll find comfort in being uncomfortable.
Yeah, you do. And that's one thing that's really quite surprising, is you can actually wire your brain to be comfortable being uncomfortable, and then that's a really great place to be, because that's how you kind of hack that flow state.
Sweet.
Cool. Awesome. I really like this. I feel like we could turn this into an entire podcast episode, actually.
Probably, yeah.
This is pretty sweet. Cool. Thanks, guys.